table. It's a little reminder.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Up the volume, please, Kia. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Premier, this is the Punjabi Press Club.
It sure
famous
is.
Punjabi Press Club.
It sure is.
And they're here to ask you a few questions. We can begin by a few opening remarks from you. So let's begin. And Haroon will be moderating the press conference. Thank you.
Okay.
Premier.
Thanks, Shruti. We've had a great day here in Surrey. We started at the new Surrey Hospital in Cloverdale, doing a tour of that building, which is incredible. They are halfway through the construction. They just started pouring the concrete for the 5th floor. It's a 10-story building. There are thousands of tradespeople who have been through that building, and it's really starting to take shape. Last time I was there, it was just a hole in the ground. 14 months. They're 5 stories up, and they'll be at 10 stories before you know it. Very exciting. It'll be incredible. It will be our most modern cancer center in the province, one of the largest. It'll have a cyclotron that feeds the PET scanner. It is one of only 2 in the province. The other one's in Vancouver. It is our first net new hospital in the province in 20 years. And it is on time, and it is on budget, which is positive. And the technology that will go into this building is incredible. It will be very efficient and a very positive experience for staff and for patients. They have a whole wing right now where they have mocked up patient rooms, operating rooms, and reception areas so that staff, medical staff, and others can come through and make sure that everything is oriented in the right place so it's as efficient as possible, so that when they build and put the finishings in these rooms, that everything's in the right place. So that's how we started the day. Then we went to Surrey White Rock Board of Trade, talk about the economy, the $50 billion in major project investments that will reach final investment decision in this province in the next 12 months. LNG Canada Phase 2, Solism's LNG, major mining projects. The fact that our mining minister, Jagrup Brar, has delivered permits for 4 major new mines or expansions in the last 4 months, amounting to almost $4 billion of investment, and how we're going to ensure that we weather this instability that we see around the world right now. Also talking about crime, the issues of extortion, and public safety in Surrey, and how our government is responding to that, assisting and coordinating law enforcement, ensuring that the resources are here to respond. So I don't want to take up the time talking at you. I want to take your questions. Trudy or whoever's coordinating.
Thanks, Premier.
Haroon?
So we're going to start the question answer session. One question.
And, sorry, I assume you know all my colleagues. Of course, you know Gary Begg and Amna Shah, 2 of our amazing MLAs here in Surrey, and you know Jagrup as well. So just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page.
Thanks. So one question per outlet, and if time permits, we'll have another round of questions. So whoever wants to ask this question, if please raise your hand and introduce yourself, your name, your outlet, and then ask the question, please. Gurpreet Savota.
Hi, Premier. Thank you for coming. It's Gurpreet Savota from Channel Punjabi. My question and concern is regarding your tone. Community is feeling, and also we are feeling so, that when you talk about the transnational repression and Indian foreign interference in Canada, your tone is in denial all the time. Why so?
Not at all. I will acknowledge some frustration, in particular in relation to the Najjar murder, about how we're learning information about what happened. Our government is learning at the same time as all of you through leaked reports to the press, the recent Globe and Mail coverage, and the Prime Minister's statement in the Parliament. We are counting on police and the criminal justice system to get us answers about that incident, and we don't have the information that the public deserves. The recent Globe and Mail coverage is incredibly concerning. We are not in the position of whatever official that was in the federal government that says that transnational interference is no longer an issue. It is an issue. It's an issue with India, with China, with the United States. These are very challenging times for Canada. We have much larger countries that are seeking to interfere with our politics here. And we also need to build relationships with them in relation to trade. Because if we don't, then our standard of living is going to decline significantly here in British Columbia. So we have to do two things at the same time. We have to ensure the detection, prosecution, and interception of any foreign interference. And we need to build trade ties and leverage the advantages we have, one of which is the huge diaspora here south of the Fraser and in the province from India, people who draw connections back to India and support things like our timber industry that is under direct attack from the United States. There are no easy answers in this, but I'm certainly not in denial about the reality of this situation. We have to do two things at once, and it is hard, but this is a challenging time.
Thank you. CJ Sidhu.
Hello, Premier. Welcome to Surrey.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You guys, good friends, Gary, Amanda, and Mr. Brar. So my question is, you recently met with the AI CEO. What was his comments? And you said that he's going to apologize. And what they are going to do moving forward? I know the federal government have to be involved, and a minister there is asking the same thing. So what was your conversation?
There were two parts to, so I had a meeting yesterday with Sam Altman. He's the CEO of OpenAI. It's one of the largest AI companies in the world. They recently raised $100 billion for expansion. That was about a week and a half ago. So it's a very large company. The background is that the horrific Tumbler Ridge shootings, that the shooter allegedly had an account with OpenAI, that the shooter was engaging with the AI in a way that caused a flag to go up that was related to violence. The allegations that were in the Wall Street Journal is that a group of 12 people within OpenAI debated whether or not to bring this to the police. And they ultimately made the decision not to bring it to the police. If they had gone to the police, this was 2 months before the shootings, there's a possibility police would have responded, seized the weapons at the house, and intervened and prevented the incident. Since then, they've announced that they've changed their policies, and if the same thing happened today, they would have reported it to police. They would report to police. So they've changed their policies internally, but it's not enough. Unfortunately, the policy is still that they may report to police. They will have that internal debate again. They don't impose an obligation on themselves to report. But also there's, at least 3 other major AI companies. There's Elon Musk's Grok. There's a company called Anthropic that has an AI called Claude. And then there's another AI company through Google called Gemini. And those companies do not have standards that are as high as OpenAI's, and OpenAI's isn't good enough. So we need a national standard where anytime someone is inputting information about plotting a violent crime, that information is flagged for police so that they are able to make a determination about whether or not to investigate and deal with that. My first request to Mr. Altman was that they support our work in advocating for a federal mandatory reporting obligation when people are plotting violent crime using AI. And he agreed that their team would work with ours and that they would be supportive of regulatory reform, whatever regulatory reform took place, that the company would certainly adhere to it. And the second request I had was I asked the mayor of Tumbler Ridge to join us on the call because I felt he was best able to share the situation in the community, the harm that had been caused by the decision of OpenAI not to report this. And he explained what the community was going through. And I had asked that OpenAI, recognizing that it's not enough, but it is necessary, that OpenAI apologize to the community, that they recognize the harm that they did and that they should have done something different. The mayor wanted time to be able to go back to the community to ensure that any apology was done in the right way. And there was a commitment from OpenAI, from the CEO, that they wanted to do this, but they wanted to do it properly in a way that wasn't insulting and didn't make things worse. So the mayor and his team are going back to the community to consult about the best way to do this, and we expect to have some plan next week about how that might happen.
Amarpalji?
Yeah, my question is related to this.
Can you please have mic?
I talked to you a year ago regarding this AI. And my question is, why the government take action after that? Why not, when it is started, make it law? Have you ever been discussed with the federal government also? Because there's still OpenAI is a very bad reputation to do these things. And they, like Anthropic said, no, we don't want to contract on the surveillance on the people. And OpenAI did with the Trump administration, just contract. It's under a very contradiction. And I want to know, is that under the cyber law, is the AI? Under cyber law, like around like 500 million cheated, the Canadian cheated, the money goes out of Canada from the phone, and it's like extortion, it's part of the extortion. It's $500 million, it's not a small money. Then it's extortion here, is open extortion here, then sextortion. And that is under the also the cyber law.
Yes.
Now it's very going to common in Canada also. Have any plan to make a strict law for that, those of people, even though they are living in abroad or anywhere, they should come in the Canadian law?
Yes. It's an incredibly challenging area, which is why we want to work with the federal government on this, because it involves other countries as well as the telecommunications laws in Canada. So we have reached out to the federal government and offered our assistance. They're bringing forward what they call an online harms bill, which is to, they say, although we don't have any details yet, address the harms that come from social media, potentially address the harms related to fraud that you're talking about that's committed through various social media apps and groups like Facebook. And we hope that establishes some standards around reporting for AI and other social media companies when they have information that someone's plotting a violent attack. We have taken some steps provincially for sextortion. If someone has intimate pictures of somebody else, they're threatening to publish them. We have a system which is unique in North America where you can go to the Civil Resolution Tribunal and get an order and get them taken down. We work with all the major companies. They take those pictures offline immediately. And you can get an order that bars someone from posting them. It's very effective. Hundreds of people have used it, and we're the only jurisdiction we know of in the world that has one as effective as that. There are other areas where we think we'll be more effective working with the federal government. These companies are huge. Their annual revenues are the equivalent of entire countries' GDP. And they have armies of lawyers, and they are not afraid to threaten countries. So, for example, when the federal government moved to regulate Facebook, they pulled local news off of Facebook. Because of regulations requiring them to pay for the news content that they were benefiting from. So we think moving as a country is important here, to have a uniform standard across Canada, and then we're all pushing together against the strength of these online companies, because there are many BC businesses that depend on these companies that sell their goods through online marketplaces, but there are also major crimes and other problems that are being committed that we can do better on, I think, as a country to address them. So a really important question, and it's one that's very timely because the federal government is advancing this bill and we're offering to assist.
Just to add one thing.
Yes.
Some of the bad employers, they misuse the women, especially girls, right? And will give you more hours than they offer the wrong things. Have any helpline for those employees?
Yes. So we have Employment Standards Branch that ensures that bad employers that are exploiting people or otherwise not meeting their needs, that people are able to go make complaints, get wages paid back, those kinds of things. Recently we had a decision that was in excess of $100,000 of wages that were owed. We've done a lot to make it more effective. As a result, we have more and more people seeking assistance, so we've got a backlog of complaints there. The Minister of Labour recently introduced a law last week that we hope will pass that assists us in requiring things like, if you're going to appeal a decision of the tribunal, that you, as an employer, that you have to put up the money that you would owe your employee first before you appeal, to reduce the number of appeals, we hope. but also informal resolution in advance so we can resolve them before going to a full hearing, so we can be more efficient in hearing and resolving these complaints.
Thanks. Gurvinder Dhaliwal.
So thank you very much, Premier. First, you fulfilled the promise when you were in Bombay, and you promised that you will come back and talk to Punjabi Press Club.
Yes.
So thank you. That time we asked a few questions. Basically, that was regarding the foreign interference, Indian interference, especially transnational repressions. And you mentioned that on your agenda, that's also a very important issue. So what you did to solve that problem? Did you talk Indian authorities, Punjab authorities, any fruitful discussion result that make some sense to the BC provincial people that they think right now it's better? Please explain.
Yes. The mission that we did to India was as a province, as a sub-national government. And we are following the footsteps of the federal government in their work on this. In terms of the overall theme of discussions that the federal government is having with India, we are counting on the federal government to press at the highest levels with Mr. Modi and with others that the Prime Minister has access to. For example, I wasn't able to meet with Mr. Modi, that they press that issue. But we certainly didn't leave it to the federal government. We raised issues of the Bishnoi gang with senior federal officials, our desire for assistance around the arrest of individuals who are involved in extortion in British Columbia who are currently in India. Received commitments about that. We have regularly had discussions about issues related to foreign interference with the Consul General and with representatives of India, and we will continue to raise that issue. But it is important that the federal government leads the charge on that nation to nation with India and with China and with the United States. This is a very difficult time with a number of countries seeking to be involved in Canadian politics, widely recognized by our intelligence agency. And simultaneously, those being the countries that are our major trading partners, and that many people in our province have family, friends, and extensive relationships with. So, we looked at things like the Foreign Agent Registry and other work that the federal government is doing as being very key to responding to these concerns generally.
Thank you. We have one question for Ravi Gallo. He is not here. That's okay.
Okay.
Next question is from Gurbaj Barar.
Hi. First of all, welcome. FIFA World Cup is coming to BC. 7 matches will be held in BC place. Less than 100 days to go. And we are curious about the matches, and around the world, soccer lovers are coming to BC. My question is that how the province is preparing?
Thanks. Great question. So there's a number of pieces of work that have been underway. First of all, there were significant changes to BC Place in order to be able to host the event. There's a natural turf field. There were renovations to the facility itself that are going to be able to be used after the event for conventions. And we expect it to be very busy. So the physical facility. Then for security, these are international games that bring with them international challenges in relation to security. So we've been working with the City of Vancouver and the federal government on security planning for the venue to make sure that everybody's safe and that we're able to respond to any issues that might come up during any of the matches or related to it, so that people have a positive experience when they visit. And the third, and I think this is perhaps the most important, is certainly everyone's going to have a good time watching the football games, but how do we leverage this into economic growth and opportunity for the province? It's important to have fun as a province and to celebrate, and that's why we were keen to participate, but can we use this to help grow our economy? And so we have an entire business program. We've been reaching out to business leaders from the countries that are playing, that have interests in British Columbia or could be interested in investing in British Columbia, to invite them to come, to host them here. And important to note the work that the Prime Minister did with Qatar and in signing an investment agreement with them and recognizing that they'll be here playing. So finding those opportunities for us to be able to leverage that investment into British Columbia, host those business leaders. and hopefully turn it into jobs and opportunity for British Columbians. So those are the main pieces of preparatory work that are underway, and that doesn't count all of the work that's happening at the bars and restaurants and so on that will be in local governments across BC, including the City of Surrey.
Next question is from Lavinder Pannu.
Hello, Premier. My name is Lavi Pannu from Radio Swift.
Hello.
So recently, in your interview on national TV, you've mentioned that you don't know any links between the Indian officials or government between the extortion cases in BC. However, during your visit in India, you've mentioned the RCMP report. So would you clarify your position?
Yeah, absolutely. There are two sources of information. One is newspaper reports, online media about connections between the Bishnoi gang and the Indian government. These were canvassed in RCMP summary of news media reports that was released right before we left for India. It was in relatively recently. And those news reports are publicly available. It's called open source information, which means that it's available to anyone. I get briefings in relation to extortion, or I've had a briefing. I shouldn't make it sound grander than it's been. I had a briefing from the head of the task force on extortion in British Columbia, where they walked me through the work that they were doing and the efforts that they've made in relation to addressing extortion in Surrey. And at that time, they had no information linking the government of India to the activity that was happening in Surrey. They did have concern, and they've discussed this publicly, that people involved in extortion were claiming an affiliation with the Bishnoi gang. And when we had that information, we went to the federal government and we said, please list the Bishnoi gang as a terrorist entity in British Columbia. The federal government did do that. But the investigators, at the time, were not able to draw that connection to the Indian government. Now, things may have changed since then, but I just wanted to reassure people that there's not some inside government information that we have, recognizing the limitations of the information that we have, that the Indian government is involved in this. And so that's the best information we have at this point, recognizing that the police investigation is happening independent of the government.
By the federal government, you said you were not briefed about it, but on to February.
Chief of Musqueam. It's the First Nation that's basically right beside the community I serve. And they have a bit of a difficult relationship with their local MLA, who's a person named Malcolm Brody, who's quite antagonistic to First Nations in the province. Chief reached out to invite me to the reconciliation event with the federal government. I was glad to go. In the First Nations community, to be invited to be a witness is an important thing, and I was glad to be a witness. This was an agreement that was negotiated between Musqueam First Nation and the federal government, and the provincial government was not involved. Typically, when there's a significant agreement between a First Nation and the federal government, there are channels where I'm briefed, where we're told about it. The Deputy Minister of Indigenous Relations federally talks to our Deputy Minister. The Minister of Indigenous Relations talks to our Minister. The Head of the Public Service federally talks to our Head of the Public Service, or the Prime Minister's office reaches out to my office. None of those things happened. And they should have happened. It would have been helpful because There were many media reports fueled by the Conservatives that this was a land grab, that this was a treaty agreement, that people's homes were at risk, none of which was true. If we had been briefed, we could have said that none of that's true. But we didn't have that information, which made it difficult to be able to respond. We saw the agreements at the same time as everybody else. And I also want to underline that this is actually really important work that the federal government's doing. Under our Constitution, Musqueam has rights and title in British Columbia. This was recognized by the Gordon Campbell administration. They gave title to the golf course to the Musqueam, as well as part of Pacific Spirit Park. The federal government has to engage with Musqueam in this way. Otherwise, they're going to lose a lawsuit that has unpredictable consequences, like we have seen with the Cowichan decision. And so they have to engage with Musqueam First Nation. We want them to do that. But given the heightened environment about First Nations rights right now in the province, it's also a lesson that they had to learn, and a lesson that our government has been working to learn as well, that lots of engagement early, keeping everybody posted, letting people know where you're going, what your intentions are, is very important right now, because there's a lot of anxiety following a couple of high-profile court decisions in the province. And we have to recognize that new environment. Work that hasn't been controversial for many generations of politics, but it is controversial right now. And so making sure that we know clearly what everybody's doing is going to assist everybody going forward.
Okay, my question is about the construction is a major industry in BC. And since the COVID, it was drastically going down and down. It's a big crash. A lot of builders and developers are in the bankrupts and all the stuff's going on. And are you doing something to help the industry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. Good question. I just by way of background, because it's important to know, the construction industry in British Columbia has actually, since COVID, and including through COVID, been setting records. Record housing starts, unprecedented levels of housing construction. We've put record amounts of money into infrastructure, 17 expanded or new hospitals, roads, bridges. The new tunnel construction has started. But I would say, starting maybe about a year ago, the home construction market, especially multifamily concrete condo buildings, has been under considerable strain. And it's not just here, it's in Toronto worse, but it certainly is very real here. And construction is a huge piece of our what's coming on is worrying. So our housing minister, I recently met with Urban Development Institute, had some suggestions from them about what they think could be done to help keep housing construction going. I've asked our housing minister to work with them to be able to identify things that we can do. One of the big problems we have is that the cost of construction of new homes is more than people are willing to pay right now. And part of that is due to development cost charges, and part of that is due to the cost of materials and labor. And so what can we do about development cost charges? How can we bring down the costs that are put on housing that put it out of people's reach financially? So we'll be having a look at how we can do that. Part of the work that we've been doing, because we were worried that this was a possibility, was to try to support smaller scale builders in the province, allowing multifamily housing so you don't have to apply to city council for a full rezoning to do multifamily, speeding up the rules around the reduction in public hearings at city council so that you can just get building, and we've seen that has actually helped us significantly to not be in the same situation that Ontario is in. But it's a really challenging time for builders right now, and so we're looking for those ways that we can keep things moving for two reasons. One is we know things are going to pick up again, And the problem is if a bunch of builders are bankrupt and they've let go of all their crews and they've stopped building housing, then when things pick up, there's nobody to show up and do the work. And the second piece is people need housing. We still have the same housing needs that we had before cost escalations made it and people's pressure on people's budgets made it challenging. And so we're going to continue to need that housing. So suggestions certainly as well from your audiences who work in this industry are welcome as well. We've tried to do as much as possible to speed things up, and we think there are ways we can work with Metro Vancouver and the cities to bring development cost charges down to make housing construction more affordable.
And your team will be participating in both parades, and also is there any concern or special security arrangements for the parade from government side?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not aware of any, each time it is a significant sort of public safety priority for police, but I'm not aware of any special or unique additional preparations that are being made this year. It'll be the usual high level of security to provide security for the events. Yes, we certainly will be participating, and I don't know if any of our local MLAs have any specific plans they want to speak about, but...
Yeah, so we are participating in the Surrey parade. As we do in the past, the Premier will be here and our team will be here with a lot of volunteers as we do, and there's not any extra precaution at this stage to us, but we are preparing for that to participate as we do in the past. Similarly, in Vancouver, Premier go there, our team goes there, Vancouver local MLA come there, all the MLAs and volunteers, we will participate in that parade as well, as we do in the past.
Thanks. Next question is from Gursev, but Amar Pal will ask on his behalf. Amar Pal.
He wants to know, what is the input from your India trip? How many contracts you sign it in near future, in the long run? What the British Columbian will get benefit, and plus is how Canada is known for the human rights. How you guys will balance the human rights and trade?
Yeah, thanks. Great questions. So there were two significant outcomes from the trip to India. The first was when we met with the heads of the major conglomerates in India. They were very interested in mining opportunities as well as natural resource. The mining minister is very excited. And natural resource opportunities and refining opportunities in the province. And so they told us specifically what they were looking for, and then we provided them with lists of companies that are developing mines or bringing on refining operations here in British Columbia, as well as energy projects, the LNG projects particularly, as well as propane and butane export. So what we've done is we've played matchmaker with those companies, connecting them with companies here around investment and what are called offtake agreements, which is the agreement to buy the products from the mine once it's brought online. This is very significant for mining companies to be able to get the investment to open the mine. The second is around timber. Our timber industry has been badly hurt by the increased tariffs from the Trump administration. And one of the challenges we have in India, I met with a number of people who buy Canadian wood and BC wood specifically in New Delhi. And they said there's a tariff on Canadian wood that's exported to and the Prime Minister announced a couple days ago that it's his intention to conclude this agreement before the end of the year. So if that duty is dropped, that'll be a significant competitive advantage for BC Wood exporting and wood products exporting to India. And I can tell you there is significant demand, and it's for higher end homes in India. is removed. The balance is a challenging one. We're talking our second largest trading partner is China, here's a country that detained 2 Canadians in what would best be described as an international crisis between Canada and China. And then we're hoping to build trade relations with India, and we had our Prime Minister, at the time Prime Minister Trudeau, stand in the Parliament and accuse India of being directly involved in the murder of Mr. Najjar. So these are very challenging things. At a lesser level in the United States, we're seeing support for separatism movement in Alberta from the United States. This is obviously profoundly concerning to me and to people from communities that have roots in China and India that are the targets of this kind of activity. So we have to do 2 things at once. We have to ensure that the economic interests and security of British Columbians are looked after, but also their human rights and physical security are looked after as well. I think we can do both. By ensuring a fair criminal trial process, holding accountable those who need to be held accountable, and supporting the federal government's work around a foreign agent registry and other work like that. It's going to be absolutely crucial, as well as supporting their push government to government at the federal level for accountability around interference in our country by our 3 major trading partners. It's a challenging balance, and we won't always be perfect, but I think the time's call on us to have to do this work.
We still have time for some more questions. Gurpreet Sahota.
Hi, Premier. You asked for suggestions and comments. This is not a question because we rarely get a chance to meet one-on-one.
Sure.
I just want to try to show you the reality check in Surrey and in surrounding areas regarding our economy. So our housing affordability model is working, and the rents are low. In a 2-bedroom basement in Surrey was almost $2,400 per month, which is now easily available around $1,500 per month. But at the same time, the house prices are dropped, and the single-family house was selling around 1.7 million. It's easily available around 1.1, 1.2 million. So the homeowners are stuck now. So their rent is getting low, and their payments are getting higher, and their equity is almost gone. So not only the big builders are getting bankrupted, the common man, the hard earner, the mill worker, the trucker, the tradesman is also getting bankrupt. So you should do something about it. Because when you see the facts, we used to get 2,400 and 2,500 new children recruitments in Surrey. And this year and last year, it's reduced to we're 800 short. So we are going in the same direction of Vancouver and Richmond. The schools will be closing soon because people are going away from Surrey and surrounding areas. And at the same time, people don't have jobs. The truckers are working barely 2 and 3 days. Tradesmen are working only 2 and 3 days. Just take a round around Surrey when you are here in the next 10, 15 minutes. You will realize that traffic is very low because the tradesmen, people are not roaming around. Delivery trucks are not working. People are sitting home. It's a major concern. Also, the Airbnb is closed. They can't do that. So the changes you have made to stop all these things, to reduce the rent, to reduce the house price, it's already worked. So now is the time to work more on going back. Otherwise, it will be a major disaster.
Okay. Thanks. I certainly want to recognize that we have seen rents come down, and that's an important policy goal that our government has had. Some of it is due to government policy. A significant piece, though, in Surrey is due to immigration changes at the federal government level. Our population in the province of BC is probably going to be flat this year. It's unbelievable because in the previous 2 years it increased by 300,000 people. All of those people looking for a place to rent, setting up a home, paying international student tuition fees, other things, are not there anymore. And in fact, a significant number of people who are here on temporary worker visas, 2 years, 3 years, are starting to pack up and go home as well. And these are workers actually that we need to grow the economy. There are definitely challenges out there. I'll tell you that BC has the second lowest unemployment rate in the country. We are going to be the second fastest growing province in the country next year. And the $50 billion in major projects that are coming are going to make a real difference. But a community like Surrey that has seen massive double-digit growth year after year after year, and people have built businesses and structures around that, have been really impacted by the federal government's immigration policy decisions going up and down and up and down. We've been engaging with the federal government on this. I think the Prime Minister understands that some refinement is going to be necessary. This is a significant piece of how our economy is going to move forward with an aging population, how we're going to pay for public services, who's going to be working and paying taxes. On Airbnb, we do allow people to rent out of their primary residence, but also when vacancy rates hit 3% or higher, cities can apply to exempt, and Kelowna has applied to us to say that they would like to do Airbnb. They're over 3% vacancy now, and so they'll be going ahead with that. The same thing would happen in Surrey if Surrey wished to do that. So we're trying to be responsive to what the trends are and what's needed. We still, unfortunately, have a lot of portables at Surrey schools, and we're going to continue to open new spaces, new schools. We've opened 11,000 spaces for students, and we've got about 5,000 more that are coming because we're still trying to cope with the massive growth of the last few years. But thanks. I think the frustration and anxiety that people are feeling right now is well reflected in your comment, and I think it's an important thing for me to hear and for us to work on. Thank you.
We have time for 2 more questions. Next question is from CJ Sidhu.
Premier, my question is in regards to the budget. It's a huge deficit, 13.3 billion. And at the same time, there is a talk of maybe laying off public servants and employees to cut back. So my question is twofold. That our total deficit is below 270, 180 billion, somewhere there. But by laying off employees, will that cut the services to BC public? That's number one. And number two, is there any efforts will be made down the road to maybe balance the budget?
Yes. Okay. There are 2 important questions. First of all, you can see the pressures on government revenues and what's happening across the country, some of which Mr. Sahota laid out. It's not unique to British Columbia, it's across the country. Alberta had a balanced budget law that they had to suspend before announcing a more than $9 billion deficit. This is the wealthiest province in Canada. Ontario has said that they are not going to meet their budget goals. Nova Scotia has a significant deficit. New Brunswick, a massive budget deficit. The federal government is struggling with this. You can see it internationally too. Japan, the UK, the EU. The United States is able to print money, but otherwise they'd be in very deep trouble. And so what we see is rising costs for government services and a population that's not really able to pay for it through taxes. Here in BC, an aging population that needs more hospital care at the same time as hospital care is getting more and more expensive, not just here, but all over the world. And so we made the decision that we're going to protect frontline services. It meant a significant deficit this year, but that we were going to reduce public service employees in administrative roles and in the public sector, 15,000 in the public sector as a whole. And in health authorities, we've reduced by 11,000 positions or 1,100 positions, and we believe we can do more without affecting frontline services, taking all the money from those administration positions and putting them into frontline care. The new Surrey Hospital is an example of our commitment to healthcare, which is an additional $3 billion in spending over the 3-year budget period. We have to staff up that hospital. We have to buy equipment for that hospital to deliver the care that people need. We're committed to providing those frontline services. But we do have to balance the budget. Cuts alone won't do it unless we cut into services like education and healthcare and stop building, which we shouldn't do in this moment. because the economic consequences would be significant. The only way to deal with this is to grow the economy. And so we're in a different position than in Ontario or in New Brunswick or in Manitoba or any of these other provinces facing big challenges, in that what we have in this province is in huge demand internationally, which is why when you look at the Major Projects Office federally, we have 4 major private sector projects at the Major Projects Office. That's 4 times more private sector projects than any other province in Canada. In the next 12 months, we have $50 billion in major project final investment decisions that are going to be made. LNG Canada Phase 2, Silism's LNG, a number of mining projects that Minister Brar has been working on. It's why in the last 4 months, we've had 4 new mines or major mine expansions approved, representing $4 billion of investment. We have to grow the economy to pay for these services. And fortunately, because we're British Columbia, because we have resources, because we have access to the ports through the Pacific, we are actually able to do that work. And that is meaningful in a community like Surrey, where there's more than 180 businesses, for example, that support the mining sector alone. And so when we have our new manufacturing tax credit, and companies are able to participate in these major projects by producing the parts and equipment that are needed on major mines and energy projects, the whole community benefits from that. So that's where we're going. We have $400 million in a fund to co-invest with private companies and the federal government. The feds are putting $22 billion in defense investment into British Columbia in the next 6 years. The companies that are going to benefit from that are Canadian companies, because they have a rule. It has to be Canadian companies first. And this fund will help us ensure that companies in British Columbia are able to participate in that as well. So we're fortunate to be where we are, that we have these options, but the only way to respond to the budget deficit and to close it is to grow the economy. We have declining deficits over time in the budget, but we have to do even more, and we're going to grow our economy to do that.
Last question from Amarpal.
My question is, one side, you guys are trying to create jobs, going abroad, and Mr. Carney is going everywhere. Another side, you guys are lay off the jobs from the employee, and the federal government gave the notice to 28,000 employees to lay off. In the time of AI, next couple of years, AGI will come, then ASA will come. Many of the CEO, big company CEO, Google CEO, the 80% job will replace them. And 52%, according to Stat Canada, the jobs from Canada going to abroad, for directly or indirectly, right? It's an offshoring job. It's called the true offshoring or indirectly, right?
Okay.
And what the government have a plans, the banks have 6 banks have a huge profit, $6 billion. It's a very huge from the only 20 million population. I have an account with them.
Yes.
And what the government is doing, why not they stop them to, especially these UBC, I sent a personal email sent to your column office. They said, oh, we don't have a record. But I talked personally with the Students Alumni Association. They said many of our computer engineering specialists pass out. They're doing the delivery driver. And they are facing very difficult times, especially the engineer pass out. Why not the government stop them, the high-tech job? They can't go outside from the Canada. You guys will contract if you're 100% employees from the Canada, not from the third world country. And they are misusing our data from the other countries also. What do you have a plan for next 5 years?
Okay, yeah, there's a lot there and a lot of very important issues. Just to tell you what we're seeing, because of the instability in the United States, the sudden changes around immigration and other issues, what we're seeing is American companies opening offices in British Columbia and in Canada to hire people and to work here. We're very proud of that. We're excited about that. It creates opportunities for high-tech grads from UBC and other local schools. It can be a bit of a worry because they come in and they pay very good wages and they hire everybody up, but it means that startups in British Columbia can sometimes struggle to get the staff that they need to be successful, and we want to grow our own technologies. We want to grow our own firms that are here. So we've been working on ways to provide support through NBC and other government investments to support growing up smaller companies here. We see significant growth in our life sciences sector. which is pharmaceuticals and medical treatments. We have a new building at St. Paul's that will support the research and clinical trials of these new medicines that are being developed at companies across the Lower Mainland. There are a number of jobs that are very vulnerable to AI that in the near term that we're going to need to be aware of in terms of labor shifts, and there are some that are much longer term. When you're talking about physical interactions with the real world, the skilled trades training that we need to build the things that we need, the mines, the energy projects, the other things that are happening. We have $250 million in the budget for skilled trades training for people to be able to take these jobs, to create opportunities for young people. These are good paying jobs. And it supports investment in British Columbia because when companies come here, they know they're going to be able to build because they're able to get the workers that have the skills that they need. And also, British Columbia is a significant home to AI firms that are selling the services and creating the services that are being used internationally. Offshoring is a real thing, and when I was in India, I learned about all these huge companies that have provide the entire engineering backend or computer science backend or customer service backend for major companies, including in British Columbia, like companies like Telus. And so we need to be alive to that dynamic, but typically it is one that